Question 1. Why does Montresor, the narrator, want revenge? He feels Fortunato insulted him, he thinks Fortunato has stolen his wine, he is jealous of Fortunato's knowledge of Amontillado, or he knows that Fortunato is a fool because of his costume. Question 2. How does Montresor trick Fortunato into joining him in the catacombs? He preys upon his pride and vanity, pretending to need his expertise. He wraps his liqueur around him and drags him to the vault. He lies about the content of the wine and tricks him into drinking poison. He preys upon his insecurities by insulting him and making him doubt his self-worth. Question 3. Is Montresor a reliable or unreliable narrator, and why? He is unreliable because he exaggerates, withholds information, and tricks Fortunato. He is unreliable because he lies about Fortunato being a wine connoisseur. He is a reliable narrator because readers can easily tell that his revenge is justified. He is a reliable narrator because Fortunato was a fool and deserved his ending. Question 4. Which of these does Montresor not do in order to ensure the success of his plan? He pretends to be Fortunato's friend, he gives Fortunato plenty of wine, he lies about being a Freemason, he ensures that his servants will be away for the night by telling them not to leave. Question 5. Which word best describes Montresor? Manipulative, forgiving, unlucky, or humble? Question 6. Which word best describes Fortunato? Humble, cowardly, forgiving, or prideful? Question 7. What is Fortunato's biggest character flaw? His pride and his connoisseurship of wine, his spiteful attitude towards Montresor, his obsession with revenge and retribution, his taste in clothing and costumes. Question 8. What is Montresor's biggest character flaw? His pride and his connoisseurship of wine, his trusting nature and gullible nature, his taste in clothing and costumes, his obsession with revenge and retribution. Question 9. Read the incomplete summary. Which option best summarizes the complete conclusion? Montresor fetters Fortunato in the catacomb and leaves him for 50 years. Fortunato gets drunk off Amontillado while Montresor gets his revenge. Montresor begins to build a wall around Fortunato but feels guilty about what he is doing. Or Montresor stabs Fortunato with his rapier. Question 10. Which of the following quotes best shows the mood of the story? We passed through a range of low arches, descended, passed on, and descending again, arriving at a deep crypt, in which the foulness of the air caused our flambeau to gather, to glow, then flame. My dear Fortunato, you are luckily met. How remarkably well you are looking today. But I have received a pipe of what passes for Amontillado, and I have my doubts. The gait of my friend was unsteady, the bells upon his cap jingled as he strode. I had completed the 8th, the 9th, and the 10th tier. I had finished a portion of the last and the 11th, and there remained a single stone to be fitted and plastered in. 11. What sentence from a Cask of Amontillado best represents the climax of the story? A moment more, and I had fettered him to the granite. In its surface were 2 iron staples, distant from each other about 2 feet, horizontally. From one of those depended a short chain, and from the other a padlock, throwing the links about his waist, but it was work of a few seconds to secure it. The wine sparkled in his eyes and the bells jingled. My own fancy grew warm with Medoc. We had passed through the walls of piled bones, with casks and puncheons intermingling, into the inmost recesses of the catacombs. I paused again, and this time I made bold to seize Fortunato by an arm above the elbow. There were no attendants at home. They had absconded to make merry in honor of time. I had told them that I should not return until morning, and gave them explicit orders not to stir from the house. These orders were sufficient, I knew, to ensure their immediate disappearance, one and all, as soon as my back was turned. It must be understood that neither word nor deed had I given Fortunato cause to doubt my goodwill. I continued, as was my wont, to smile in his face, and he did not perceive that my smile was now at the thought of his immolation. Question 12. Which quote from Cask of Amontillado best represents the conflict of the story? The 1,000 injuries of Fortunato I had borne the best I could, but when he ventured upon insult I vowed revenge. Putting on a mask of black silk and drawing a roquelaure closely about my person, I suffered him to hurry me in my palazzo. The gait of my friend was unsteady, and the bells upon his cap jingled as he strode. There were no attendants at home. They had absconded to make merry in honor of the time. Irony is when what is said is not what is meant. Which of the following quotes from the Cask of Amontillado is the best example of verbal irony? We will go back. Your health is precious to me. You are rich, respected, admired, beloved. You are happy as I once was. You are a man to be missed, for it is meet no matter. We will go back. You will be ill, and I cannot be responsible. The thoughts and injuries of Fortunato I had bore the best I could, but when he ventured upon insult, I vowed revenge. I had completed the 8th, the 9th, the 10th year. I had finished the portion of the last and the 11th. There remained a single stone to be fitted and plastered in. I struggled with its weight. I placed it partially in its desk and positioned. We came at length to the foot of the descent and stood together on the damp ground of the catacombs of the Montresors. Question 14. In line 178 to 180, Montresor stops working when Fortunato begins rattling his chains because Montresor wants to savor Fortunato's torture, worries that someone will hear, is exhausted from his labor, or is drunk from the Amontillado. Question 15. Which of the following quotes is the best example of dramatic irony? Enough. The cough is a mere nothing. It will not kill me. I shall not die of a cough. Ha 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 ha. Hee hee hee. A very good joke indeed. An excellent jest. We will have many rich laugh about it at the Palazzo. Hee hee hee. Over our wine. Hee hee hee. Lucchesi cannot tell Amontillado from Sherry. It is further on, said I, but observe the white webwork which gleams from the cavern walls. 16. In what ways are Fortunato and Montresor similar? They are both deeply proud and have vast knowledge of wine. They are both determined to get revenge and deceitful. They both believe that Lucchesi is incompetent and they are better than him. They are both from wealthy families and they both collect wine. Question 17. If Fortunato had not been under the influence of alcohol, he might have wondered why Montresor carried a trowel, offered him wine, expressed concern for his health, or was wearing a costume. 18. Why does Montresor tell his servants that, even though he will not return until morning, they are not to leave the house? He knows they will take advantage of his absence to celebrate Carnival. Deep down, he wants to be stopped and wants his servants to be home. He wants them to testify he wasn't there, so he has an alibi when the cops come. He fears for their safety at Carnival because he knows the wine drinkers are dangerous. 19. Which of the following best represents the primary setting of the Cask of Amontillado? 20. Which of the following quotes best represents Montresor's views on revenge? Instead a man of love and peace, I have become a man of violence and revenge. There is no revenge so complete as forgiveness. Looking good is the best revenge. Revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. 21. What is ironic about Fortunato? His name means fortunate, and he is very unfortunate. He goes into the narrator's vaults even when he has a cold. He thinks he knows a lot about wine, but can't identify Amontillado. He wants revenge on the narrator, who wants revenge on him. 22. Hyperbole is the use of exaggeration to make a point. Look at the first paragraph. What phrase used by the narrator in his example of a hyperbole? 1,000 injuries of Fortunato I had borne the best I could, but when he ventured upon insult, I vowed revenge. At length I would be avenged, and this was a point definitely settled, but the very definitiveness with which it was resolved precluded the idea of risk. I must not only punish, but punish with impunity. A wrong is unredressed when retribution overtakes its redresser. It is equally unredressed when the avenger fails to make himself felt as such to him who has done no wrong. (23) Fortunato, who had been out drinking and enjoying Carnival, is wearing a clown's hat. Symbolically, why is this an interesting and appropriate costume choice by the writer Edgar Allan Poe? He is dressed like a fool and gets fooled and tricked. He is dressed like a clown, and he is unsophisticated and comical. He is dressed like a joker with a cone on his head and is proven to be a dunce. He is dressed like a comedian and is proven to be sensitive and tearful. 24. What can we infer is Montresor's true motivation for offering Fortunato wine in lines 89, 90, and 116? To protect them from the damn catacombs, to ensure Fortunato will be too drunk to realize what's happening, to fit in with the partygoers at Carnival, or to toast to their long-lasting friendship? Which of the following lines best represents the resolution of the plot? For half a century no mortal had disturbed them in pace requisant. I forgot your arms, a human foot door, in a field azure. The foot crushes the serpent rampant, whose fangs are embedded under the heel. He had a weak point, this Fortunato, although in other regards he was a man to be respected and even feared. Enough, he said, the cough is a mere nothing. It will not kill me. I shall not die of a cough. 26. Recoil means a mental image of something not visible, the process of becoming warmer, a movement back from an impact, the act of bringing to completion. 27. Who of the following is most likely to be considered a connoisseur? A freshman who enrolls in an introductory engineering class, a woman who always argues with her friends, an art collector who visits museums and galleries worldwide, a criminal who steals expensive jewelry. 28. A synonym for obstinate is valued, stubborn, friendly, or overweight. 29. Which of the following would most likely be described as insufferable? Mowing the lawn on a 100-degree day, driving your friend to a movie, going for a walk in the park, or practicing for an upcoming swim meet. 30. Which of the following images shows someone who is fettered? 31. Endeavor means prepare, decline, effort, or relax. 32. Which of the following acts shows someone in a state of repose? A person designing plans for a building, a person relaxing in a hammock, a person doing homework on campus, a person performing complicated surgery. 33. Which of the following is the best synonym for retribution? Revenge, tribute, relaxation, or tribulation. 34. Who of the following people is most likely to abscond? A janitor who is mopping the floor, a child who is throwing a temper tantrum, a policeman who is taking a break, or a thief who just stole a bike. And 35. Which of the following is a niche?